Well, I guess I'm gonna have to hurry up and get this cleaned up. This is where the old truck camper sat. We tore it down so we could get some solar to the solar panels, some sun to the solar panels. So I've been waiting for it to get cold so the snakes would hibernate, or whatever it is they do, go dormant. Because I know there's snakes under here, black snakes. I mean, they're not poisonous, but I'd rather not get into a nest of them. We're supposed to have cool temperatures, below freezing temperatures, I think this weekend. So maybe I'll start getting into that pretty quickly. I've got a good portion of it already taken to the dump. I got to get that up there. That's not attached. I got to get that to the dump, burn what I can burn. I want to talk about solar panels. So it's been cloudy most of the week, as you can see. And there was one day it was real cloudy. So what I've been trying to do is minimize the amount of generator runtime I got to run. Well, I get up in the morning, I know it's cloudy, so I'm gonna run it for an hour just so I can get to a sunnier part of the day, a brighter part of the day, however you want to consider that. I don't want the batteries getting too depleted before the sun, or it starts to brighten up a little bit. And then the solar panels will take over a good bit. It won't charge the batteries, not very much, but it will run the freezer. So the freezer runs maybe a half hour every hour. So if I can get 10 amps out of the solar panels, that's more than enough to run the freezer. 10 amps is what it takes to run the freezer. DC amps, there's a difference, there's a correlation. The freezer is actually 1 amp, but it's all about watts. But I'm talking in amps, so DC amps. So if I'm only running 10 an hour up there on the freezer, that's what is drawing 10 DC amps an hour, but I'm only running half an hour. That means I'm making double the amps that what I really need for the freezer. So it's keeping up, but it's not charging the batteries enough. However, today I'm getting 20 amps. Doesn't seem that much brighter, but it really has made a big difference. So at least right now I'm getting 20 amps. Now, the nice thing is something you got to consider is it's not always cloudy all day long every day. It's been cloudy, and it's been cloudy a lot, but you'll get a half hour, 45 minutes of bright sunlight, like there's an opening in the clouds, and that's huge. That gets you a lot of charge. After I find out throughout the day how much I've used, how much I need, I can adjust my time on how long I run the generator in the evening, so I get enough energy to get me through the night. So I got to charge the batteries with the generator. So right here, wow, perfect example. So there's an opening that if that'll last to half hour, it probably won't. That's huge on the batteries, getting them charged. I'm glad that happened right when I was on camera. So then I'll run the generator a couple hours. Now the other day I filled the water tank. I kind of regret it now. I didn't really have to. But we went cloudy, I think it was on Tuesday, and we're not going to get any sun until Monday, so it's going to be 6 days. We've got enough water in that tank to get us by for 6 days, and I can fill it up with the solar panels when the sun comes back up on Monday. But I just felt like I needed to do it, so that day I had to run the generator for 4 hours that evening because it took a lot of battery to pull that. Now I could have pulled out the Champion dual fuel generator, and that would have powered it just fine. It's a propane gasoline generator, 2,000 watts. It would have done fine. I wouldn't have had to charge the batteries. But here's my thinking. I got to run this generator regardless, whether it's for 2 hours or 4 hours. My point to this part of the video is my experiments seem to be working. I am reducing the amount of gasoline I got to use. I know it's not SHTF worthy. Oh, you're just never going to survive SHTF if you got to have electricity. I don't have to have electricity for anything but the well. The freezer is something that Carolyn wants. And on cloudy days, I just don't have enough to make that happen. Now, people will say, get more solar panels, and I could, but I've tried to do the cost analysis on this between gasoline and getting more solar panels because it's cloudy for 1 week a year. When I say 1 week, I mean 1 week total. It may be 2 weeks. I figured it up at 4 weeks that I would have to run the generator, and it would take forever to use enough gas to justify buying that many solar panels. But since no matter what I'm going to do, I got to, of course, address the SHTF, because that's all everybody thinks about is the end of the world. If the end of the world were to occur, I would just shut the freezer off. I don't need to run it. We just can all our food. And I've been doing lots of canning videos here lately. So I've got some older canning videos that are pretty much similar to the ones that I've been doing recently. You go to my channel, go playlist tab, and then go down there and you'll see canning. So I don't have to run the freezer. With the well, like I said, there's plenty of water. I get 250 gallons of water in that tank. So if I have an extended period of cloudy days, I don't have to run the well. I can just run off the tank. That being said, if it was SHTF, I don't even need to use that much water. We can conserve water if we wanted to. We don't now. We don't have to. We have options available to us. I don't live my life for SHTF. I live to be happy, free, and well, that's it. That's just all I want. Now, one of the things that keeps coming up in my videos is propane. There's several things that is questioned when I use propane. One, you don't live off grid because you got propane. Okay, I don't agree with that. I consider not being on the power line. Somebody's going to say, well, you got a power line. We're not connected to it. I've showed it many times. As a matter of fact, just so release the debate, here's the breaker box over here with the meter. It doesn't even have a meter. It's missing. So we're not hooked up to it. So we use propane, and we've really limited the amount of propane that we have to use. I mean, we're down to the bare minimum now. We use propane for the on-demand water heater, but again, we don't have to. I've showed you that setup over there where Carolyn can heat things up over the little wood stove type thing she's got, and we can heat hot water there. Or we've been using that coffee maker a lot. So we got a coffee maker in there that we can run off solar panels. She does all her dishes like that. It's so hot that when you pour the coffee pot in there, you can't touch it into the dish pan, so you have to fill it up with cold water. So if we need to wash our hair, take a bath, whatever, we could use that coffee maker for hot water. So again, SHTF for all these people who think that, you know, we can't live off grid in an SHTF. Yeah, we can. We've got all this to the point where we're getting it mastered. One of the questions that comes up is, why don't we get a 500-gallon propane tank? One of those big ones you sit out in your yard. Well, several reasons. One, we don't want anybody on our yard, and people would have to come and fill it up, and I don't want them here. But two, the house is not set up for propane. We would have to run piping and, you know, to code and all that, and they come in and do an inspection. We wouldn't pass the inspection. Plus, we'd have to have gas appliances like a gas heater. We'd get a blue flame if we ever had to do that, but I just don't want to do it. So I had somebody say in the comment section, well, I just couldn't do what you're doing. You just work yourself to death doing all these little nitpicky things, or something to that effect. Well, I don't feel like it's that nitpicky. So we use these little 20-pound tanks, and I get them exchanged. The thing is I can get this propane cheaper than what you can buy it for the guy who delivers it. Because first thing, when they deliver it, they jack up the cost. They have their cost, then they have sale price. But then you have to pay for the transportation of that propane, the trucking. You got to pay for that, and it varies greatly however often you fill it. Of course, then you have to figure out, well, I should buy it in the winter because it's cheaper in the winter, or fall time or whatever. Buy it in the summer. Don't buy it in the winter. If you run out in the winter, well, then you're just messed up. So this, I paid $12 for, no more than $12, I should say. It's always been 11 something usually. No more than $12 to fill a tank. I take it over to a town. It's about 40 miles away, but when we go grocery shopping, we can take these with us, get them filled up, and they fill it full. I get a military discount. So normally it's about $15 to $16, whereas this is just the 11 something. So it's a huge savings. Now, I'm not saying everybody can get a military discount, but you can shop around. This just gives you a lot more options. Now, somebody will say, why don't you get a 100-gallon one? Because those are heavy and I don't want to carry them. These I can carry. Carolyn cooks with this tank here. She runs the oven now, the stovetop, and I've canned 3 batches, which is an all-day process off one. But here's the thing, is people want to live a more simplistic life, but they don't want to have to put the effort into it. The other day I made a video and I said, this is just not hard. You know, your YouTuber was criticizing me because she was claiming that this is so much harder than I say, that I'm lying to you. Well, I guess hard work is relative to the human being. I don't find any of this hard work. I find working for an employer is hard work. I would rather work here for myself on my time, my terms, than work for somebody else. So changing out a propane tank doesn't seem like it's a big deal than having to go to a job, make some money, call around for propane prices, pay for the trucking guy to come out and bring your propane out. This is just easier for me, so I guess it's relative. The wind has picked up immensely and it's gotten much colder. I'm betting the cold front's coming through. Okay, so I'm back in the camper, and as you know, I've been canning a lot here recently. And just recently I canned some pork. And I had a 100% success rate with my Tadler lids. It was the first time I've ever gotten a 100% seal rate. Now, one of the questions I got about canning pork, canning chicken, is what do we eat with it, or how do we use it? Do you use it with bacon and eggs and that kind of stuff? No, typically Carolyn will open up, well, pork. Chicken, she usually mixes like an egg drop soup with me, so it's kind of like a soup. But with pork, she will season it a little bit. And people always want to know what kind of seasons we have. And there's some parsley and ground ginger, I don't know, poultry seasoning, garlic powder. She's big on garlic. Basil. Now here's the thing that I like. You can get this better than bouillon. You get in chicken, and this one, I'm not sure what it is. I don't have my glasses on. This is really good. It really flavors things up. So if she makes like egg drop soup, she'll put a teaspoon of that in there. Italian seasoning. So she just seasons things up. Lemon pepper, whatever this is. So I hope that answers the question. So she just seasons everything to taste. There's no measuring or anything. So when she opens up a jar of pork, she heats it up on the stove, which you don't have to. It is cooked. The chicken is cooked. Everything's cooked. So in an emergency situation, you can literally open this up and eat it with a fork, which I have before. It wasn't an emergency. I was just hungry and didn't feel like coming down here to cook. So I opened it up and ate it. The cat can eat this, which she does. We give her chicken. Here's the thing that I know people struggle with. I struggled with it. Everybody struggles with it, is food addictions. If you eat anything but just meat, anything, you probably have a food addiction because it has sugar. Everything has sugar in it but meat. So vegetables have carbohydrates. If it has carbohydrates in it, it's sugar. Now people say, oh, there's processed carbs and there's regular carbs and regular carbs. No, it's all sugar. That is the truth. And if you're eating sugar, you're addicted to food. So you're being forced to eat garbage. And so what your body says is, I have to have a variety of foods because I'm addicted. I want candy and I want chips and I want green beans and I want eggs and I want bacon. And your brain just is trying to solve this problem of what is it do I want to eat? And then you eat all the sugar, you burn it up real fast because sugar burns up, it ferments, it does all kinds of crazy things. An hour later, you're hungry again. But meat processes very slow throughout your body. I'm not trying to tell you to eat meat. I'm just saying you're addicted to food if you feel like you have to have a variety of different foods. Carolyn read a meme to me the other day. There's two types of diets. Ones that eat to live and the others that live to eat. And I'm one of these guys now that just eats to live. It's no different than breathing. Now that I'm off the addiction, I don't have this massive craving to go out and get food all the time. I get hungry and I eat until I'm full. So one of the things that we've been doing, because Carolyn and I like to have a snack, but we don't have to have a snack, so we limit how much food we eat at supper. And then I go get cheese sticks or cottage cheese or something like that, which is still dairy products, meat products, and I'll eat that for a snack. And Carolyn will eat pork rinds, which is complete pork fat. It's not that we're having a craving, it's just we like to sit down and eat while we watch our movie or TV show off Netflix. And so we minimize what we eat for supper so we can do that. But I've gotten so full at supper that I don't even want to snack. Now before we were on the carnivorous diet, it didn't matter how much I ate. When we were eating popcorn for a snack, we'd have to have the popcorn. It was just a drive that we had to have. So here's what I would suggest. If you're really interested in learning how to live off grid, this is the only way I know how to tell you to live off grid. Stop eating carbs, get off the vegetables, eat carnivorous diet, get some solar panels, find a well, and you got it made. You don't need a lot of land, but you gotta stop thinking like this is the way we have to do it because this is the way I was taught. I got to get a propane tank. I got to have all the foods. The more food you have, the more you got to store, the more you got to figure out. So if you click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was telling you, you got to think critically so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.